on. Ready? Just like that.
Okay, so we don't have video at this point.
No, we have everything.
Oh, we have everything.
Yes, everything's up.
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, I'm getting the high sign. We're good to go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the May 30th, 2023 meeting of the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority Board of Governors. Call it to order. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. If I could ask everyone to please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get to the roll call, I'd like to talk about something. We had an unfortunate passing a few days ago. Vern Moyer passed away. Vern has been a fixture in Pennsylvania aviation forever. I mean, literally, I think it's probably not an understatement. He was the operator and manager of Braden Air Park for many years as well, so he's been integral in Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority's operations. And he only retired back in February. So it's a shame that he didn't get a chance to enjoy more of retirement. I can ask everyone for a moment of silence in honor of Vern. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Sylvette, could you call the roll, please?
Paul Anthony.
Here.
Ann Baum.
Here.
Robert Brooks.
Here.
Frank Facciano.
Here.
Don Gottschall. Justin Grimshaw.
Here.
John Hayes.
Here.
Ron Heckman.
Here.
Larry Hemberger.
Here.
James Irwin.
Here.
Jeff Matskin.
Present.
Glenn Reedman.
Present.
Mike Stershik.
Here.
Jonathan Strauss.
Here.
Chris Worley.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, do we have any public comment?
We do not, sir.
We have a service award on the agenda today. We're waiting for Matt Turk to get here, but we'll do the second half of the service award, and that's the introduction of Jonathan Strauss as the new Lehigh County appointee to the Board of Directors. Jonathan, I'd like to welcome you to the board.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm going to take a couple seconds to just introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll go around the table so you know who all is here.
Sure. As John said, my name is Jonathan Strauss, resident of Lehigh County. I have a background in real estate investment development. Grew up about an hour north of here, Carbon County, and have been down here and a graduate of Moravian College. So I've been down here for about 6-7 years now. Very much looking forward to the opportunity of working with each and every one of you, on this role, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll start the intros. My name is John Hayes. I'm CEO of Nutropoli Bank, and I've been board chair now. I'm just starting my second term.
I'm Elizabeth Marcon with Florio Perucci and many other names. We're the solicitor. I've been working on airport work for about 5 years now and became solicitor about a year ago.
Justin Grimshaw, I'm business agent with the IBW.
Local 375, Paul Anthony, Local 375. Frank Facciano, COO with the Chamber, and Finance Committee Chair here.
Glenn Reedman, I'm retired.
I'm Larry Hemberger, I'm like Glenn.
I'm the president of Lehigh Valley Labor Council.
Mike Stershik, I'm with Glenn and Larry.
Sylvette Riggy, recording secretary.
And Tom Stout, Matt, not much else.
Okay, John, if you met staff all around the perimeter as well, or should we go around the horn?
Yes.
We're good? Okay, sounds good. So again, welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And we will, Matt should be here at some point. So when Matt gets here, we'll double back and take care of his service award at that point. So next on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the April 25th, 2023 meeting. Those minutes were posted on Novus. Entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Justin, second by Frank. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay, we have the report of committees, officers, and staff. Treasurer's report first. Justin.
I'll pass that right off to Todd for the April 23 financial report.
All right, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. I see a new checkpoint out there, huh? Kind of nice out there. All right. Go to the treasurer's report. Always start off with the traffic. We talked about this a little bit in the committee. Down some from where we were in 2022, but overall, year to date, We're still ahead of 2019. We're expecting traffic to be down slightly, but pick up later in the year. Load factors, this was a request by Ann. We wanted to make sure we took care of this. She asked about this a few months back, but it really talks about the occupancy, or as Frank likes to call it, the occupancy of who's using the seats. So we were 85% year-to-date, all of our stuff in 2023, and 85% in 2019. 0.7% higher than we were overall, but again, 85% is pretty good. You can see that's led by Elysian at 88%, as it was in 2019.
That does not include bus traffic.
That does not include bus traffic. Thank you for reminding me. Always compare ourselves to all U.S. airports. You can see most of the airports are recovering a little bit faster than we are. The regionals are behind the main hubs, but you can see all airports throughput is about 5.3 up. Seats are up 4. ABE slightly down at -3 on the throughput and -5 on the seats. As I just mentioned, you compare us to other airports our size, we're doing really well. That's the second part of this kind of recovery. The big airports are recovering first. We're going to tag a little bit behind, but again, we are doing much better than our peers. I would like to point out there, we could be Scranton down there at -40%. But overall, compared to our peers, we're doing really well. And for those that don't remember, White Plains had the addition of Breeze, which is why they're up so much. Look at the month of April. Again, our financials are pretty solid for the month, even though traffic was down some. You can see we had a $525,000 net income, and that was without CARES, always a positive thing when we're talking about without CARES as we move forward. But again, gross revenue was down 63K versus budget, and we still had a pretty positive number, a lot better than what we anticipated versus budget. Year to date, again, we're rolling along pretty well. We talked about the winter and our increased traffic versus what we anticipated in the first quarter. But again, that trend has continued. We're really doing well versus budget. If you look at that 752K, you can see that number included over $1 million of CARES. So without CARES, we budgeted a negative net income. So the fact that we're positive 1.8-ish mil is a pretty good sign. Again, that talks about our going concern without CARES, because at some point in the very near future, we're not going to have CARES, and we have to be self-sustaining. This is just something to focus on. We like to focus on streaks around here, and that's out of 12 months we had in 2019, we had 11 months out of the 12 that had positive net income without the miscellaneous income and without CARES or Sarissa or ARPA. Obviously, there was none in 2019. We had 4 months in 2020, most of that at the beginning part of the year, 9 in 2021. 2022, we had 10, and so far, we are, every month this year has been positive for 2023. Talk about cash number, that black line is really never go below that line, and that's the 60 days cash on hand. But again, that is after reserves and contingency, but you can see that we're a decent cash reserve number. That number is going to spike up in June when we get about $5 million of CARES, not CARES, of connector funds that's outstanding that we're going to pull to reimburse ourselves. That's it. Any questions? Try to keep these short and sweet when we have a good month. Nobody likes to hear me talk anyway.
Any discussion points? I'd entertain a motion to approve accept the finance report. Motion by Mike, second by Jim. Looked at me, so I'm going to call it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Anything else, Justin?
Nothing for treasurers.
Sounds good. Thank you. Then we'll go to Finance Committee with Frank, and Todd stays up.
Todd's going to stay up there. We are going to approve the BMO lease line of credit that we discussed in committee. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, for committee, we had in 2017, this is kind of a refresher, we had a $4 million lease line of credit that we've been extending. It's a variable rate for equipment. And in 2022, they said, you guys can't keep extending that number. You got to do a new one. So we had about $1.5 million left on that. This is just to kind of extend that. This is as needed. Somebody asked the question, the committee, what do we use it for? I had the list. It's like for golf courses, it's for tugs, it's for police vehicles, those kind of things that have tangible assets associated. So it's equipment lease. It's almost like leasing a car that you would go to a dealership with, but it's just one big line. We can use it for things other than cars. Again, it's just a variable line. It's 1.5 million. It's as needed. We do anticipate using some of that. That was built into the cash flow. But overall, it's a much better rate than we're getting on our other one that we have with another bank. Any questions?
Entertain a motion to approve the BMO lease line of credit. See Frank's hand, Mike second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Okay, finance audit.
And we'll walk through the financial audit quickly. I mean, we went through this pretty much in detail. I'm not going to go through all the slides. I know Scott's on the line. He might want to do that. But overall, we had a clean audit. This was a pretty big audit as far as change. There's a GASB 87, which is basically accounting for leases, which is a big change for us, and we did get through that process. I know Scott's on the line. I'll let him jump in on any items he wants to talk about on the actual audit in particular. Scott?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Scott Nickerson from Crow. Happy to report to you on our audit for 2022. We did have an opportunity to walk through with the committee a detailed review of the financial statements and the results of our audit for this year, but at a very high level for the board. Happy to report that we plan to issue a clean or unmodified opinion on your financial statements, as well as a clean opinion related to your compliance with your federal programs and also passenger facility charges. That's an expected result from your audit, but I do appreciate the efforts that management and the finance team make throughout the year to come to that conclusion on our audit. The only other significant matters that we discussed with the committee relate to the implementation of some new accounting standards related to leases. So if you're looking at the financial statements, year over year, you'll see that management is now required to report the net present value of fewer lessor arrangements that qualify under the new accounting standard for leases. Also gives you an idea of the commitments that you made to other parties to use your facilities over a period of time. The impact of that has a zero impact on your bottom line or your net assets, but it is something that all airports are required to disclose related to long-term leases. The second thing I wanted to point out related to your pension plans, if you were looking at significant changes year over year, the main change within your pension plan relates to investment return, which essentially, for most of you, I'm sure, your investments had negative returns, but that moved your pension plan from a positive plan assets to negative plan assets. Still well funded overall. However, you'll see a big switch there related to investment return during the period under audit. Other than that, there are really no other significant matters. We did talk with the committee a little bit about how management continues to invest in technology to support their infrastructure, support their operations and activities. We talked a little bit about your organization compared to others out there related to debt, related to other financial activities, issues impacting your airport authority. Lastly, I'm happy to report that there are no matters to bring to your attention related to significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, and there were no disagreements, no matters which we disagreed, and happy to answer any questions you might have from the board perspective.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I'd entertain a motion to accept the 2022 financial audit. Motion by Mike, second by Justin. Open it up for discussion. Anyone have any questions or comments for Scott or Todd or Frank? Okay, just for those who are watching online or who watch this at some point, if you'd like to see a more detailed discussion of the financials, then you want to take a look at the committee meetings, which were posted on YouTube as well. They're on our YouTube channel, so you'll see a more in-depth review of the financials. At that point, they were posted last Thursday afternoon, I think, Thursday afternoon or Friday. We got that. Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor. We have a second. All those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Better remember that. Okay, motion
Thanks,
carries.
All right, next we have the approval to extend the initial interest-only period on the Series 2021 bonds, revenue bond resolution. Go ahead, Todd.
So, we just got this information yesterday, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it in our committee in depth. Talked about it a little bit, talked about the RACB and the timing of that. So the way our original, we had two loans. We had a 15 million fixed loan for the connector, and then we also had a bridge loan for some of our RACB grants that we used that for. So the original, I'll talk about the $15 million fixed loan. We just, like I said, we just submitted about $5 million last month, so we hope to be pretty close to be done with that relatively soon. But the original agreement, that was supposed to end June. So we need a little bit more time to finish it. The original 2-year interest period ended in June of this next month, actually. Next month, 2 years. So we need 3 more months to kind of clean that up. On the RACP, or should I say the bridge loan, we're going to extend that out until the end of the year. All the other terms are the same. So it was 8 years after the original 2. That doesn't add more time. It's still the end period. It's still the end period. They're going to lengthen the interest-only period. I know it's a little rambling a little bit, but if anybody has any questions, it's really, all we've really done is we took the interest-only period and pushed it back a little bit. It doesn't do anything on the back end. It just gives us more time to kind of hopefully get the RACP money to pay that back, and then hopefully clean everything up on the other loan. We're pretty close to finish on the 15 million, but we need some time, and we don't think we're going to be done by June, so that extra 3 months to give some time. You had a question?
Is there a reason we didn't go longer, given not knowing when the RACB money may come through the door?
Well, originally, like I said, I extended it out. That's what I asked them for. I can ask them again at some point, but I don't want to go too far out and get greedy. John's the banker. I know if you get too greedy, they say no. So
Yeah, hindsight, we probably should have, but I don't remember a specific point of discussion about it when we were negotiating the terms.
You think that's enough time, though, what you're getting?
we'll have a good idea what it is. It's kind of like, if we said a year and it's not a year, hopefully we'll have a better idea when it's going to come in the next 3-4 months, and then we can talk about what we need from that point. But at this point, the end of the year is as good as any other time to kind of figure out what we need.
Okay.
And then the other loan, we should be done by the end of the third quarter.
Now, this does not change, in terms of the fixed loan, that does not change the interest rate period or the interest rate fix or the ultimate maturity, or it does?
It does not change the ultimate maturity,
Does it
and we have the
change-
option on what we want to choose after the original interest only period. So none of that changed, he just gave us an additional time. So
Well,
none,
if we take 3 months ago to interest only, won't that then increase the monthly debt service? Or will it not? Or will the amortization period remain the same?
the amortization period will remain the same.
Okay,
It's
so it
just
won't
that,
change the monthly
it's just
payment.
that conversion period,
Okay.
where you can actually convert, that date will remain the same.
Okay.
That's a great question. So the amortization period will not change. It's just, like I said, the terms as far as when those loans can be called will still be the same date. Any other questions? Great questions. Again, I apologize for rambling a little bit. It's the last minute, but again, it's nothing significant. It's really just buying us some time to kind of close these things out. We were hoping that we'd be done in 2 years, but 3 more months in the great scheme of things on the fixed isn't a bad deal. And hopefully we'll have a better idea on the rack. We have approximately 650,000 on Rackby. That's all we've used on that original stuff. So worst comes to worst, we could pay it. I mean, it's not a lot, but obviously we want to push that out to buy us some time on the cash flow. Any questions, concerns?
Entertain a motion to approve the interest extensions as presented. See Frank, Justin, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I gotta remember that. Okay, motion carried. Okay, all of you are looking at the screen, so I'm sure you did not see a distinguished now guest join the meeting. Mayor Matt Turk, City of Allentown. Matt, come on up, front and center. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, we are here today. One of the things we wanted to do today was to recognize Matt Turk for his service to the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority. You joined the board when?
Before the pandemic.
I think that's everyone's point of reference. I think you're probably right about that. So Matt has served through a number of challenging times, the pandemic being one, working through a lot of the things that we've talked about, the hotel deal, which we're going to be moving on after this. It's taken a little while, and a few other odds and ends. So I'd like to thank you for your work, and I'd like to read the plaque that we're going to be giving you. In appreciation of Matt Turk for exemplary service to the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority as chairman and member of the Board of Governors, March 8, 2017, there's the date, to May 10, 2023, presented this day, May 30, 2023. So Matt, thank you very much.
I apologize for being late. I was continuing to do the work of the authority. I was at a press conference with Senator Casey asking him for additional money for investment at the airport and in the city of Allentown and the Lehigh Valley. So I'm going to excuse myself for being late a little bit too. I can remember, I don't think I remember March 8th, 2017, but I can remember the early days here at the authority and getting to meet all of the fantastic folks here and all of the various moments, all those, you call them hardships. They were memories for me. Wandering around in a parking lot of a Costco, having conference calls with certain real estate developers about industrial sites at the airport, wondering what the heck was going to happen with Tom doing Zoom calls from my porch in March of 2020. It's been a lot, but the whole time I've been impressed by the quality of leadership here at the airport. It made my time as chair easy. I'm sure it makes your time a little bit easier. Tom, Todd, Darren, Ryan, you guys have been, Colin, who still texts me about the Eagles. You guys are really doing fantastic work here and making the work of the Board of Governors a little bit easier. I'm excited by the group here. I can see that Jonathan has stepped in for me in Lehigh County. I'm excited to see continued presence of new folks here that will push the board, push the administration. I know that you guys get better when you have active, involved, and attending board members. And I think that I've been grateful to work alongside a lot of really awesome board members over the years who have always pushed this administration to look for a better answer and a better answer that best serves the needs of the stakeholders here. I took that fiduciary responsibility very seriously as a board member, making sure that the work that we did always served the interests of the authority and of the people that it serves. And I know that the rest of the board does as well. I am grateful for the staff, for the rest of the board, and to County Executive Armstrong for appointing me in the first place. And I hope that you will all continue to do work and make the Lehigh Valley a really exceptional place in terms of infrastructure for years to come. So thank you very much. This is much appreciated, and thank you guys so much. I look forward to flying ABA again very soon. Thanks, sir.
Okay, back to the official part of the agenda. I think we're through the Finance Committee. Thank you, Frank. So Business Committee, back to Justin. In 1 second.
Yeah. See you.
Ryan, you can go ahead and come on up and start with the boiler replacement for hangar 2.
Great, thank you, Justin.
Got it, Bill.
Good afternoon, everybody. So 2 items here went through committee. The first one here is we're looking to award a bid for the hangar 2 boiler replacement. The equipment's over 30 years old, beyond its useful life. In coordinating with finance and maintenance, we ended up getting 3 quotes for the equipment through cooperative purchasing, through CoStars. We got the 3 that was in Novus that we talked about with the committees. The lowest quoted price and the shortest lead time was with Postler and Jackal of Pittston, Pennsylvania, in the amount of $84,045. Looking at it with the lead time 8 to 12 weeks, trying to get the boiler in before the winter months later this year. What we're looking to do was to add that $84,000 to our Exhibit B of our capital budget, which is departmental projects, to increase the amount up to $4.5 million and change. So with that, we're looking for approval to award the CoStar's bid for hangar 2 boiler replacement to Postler and Jackal of Pittstown, Pennsylvania, in the amount of $84,45, and then, as I mentioned, increase the approved Exhibit B budget to $4,515,425.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for award of the bid for the hangar 2 boiler replacement. Motion by Glenn, second by Paul. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Great, thank you. Move on to the next one. So this one, looking to award a bid for the Queen City lighting and electrical vault work. We opened bids earlier in May. 2 portions of work, one's for the lighting for runway 1533 and the other's for the electrical vault. As a quick recap, we're currently doing the pavement rehabilitation right now through a federal grant. This will be the next phase. So what we're looking to do is apply for the federal grants here in the next month. They could come in 2 grants, but in order to move forward on timing with some of the administrative items, we're looking to get approval now. Once we get the grants, probably August, September, come back to the board for the official approval of that. We did receive bids again earlier in the month. Bruce Amaryllis, Newcastle, Pennsylvania, was the lowest responsible bidder. You can see the amounts there. The lighting and the vault combined for about $1.7 million. Again, I mentioned it'll be combined with the future FAA grants, so our share of that will only be 5%. It's about $89,000. Again, Bruce Amaryllis, we've been working with them on the 624 project as a subcontractor. I've had a good relationship with them in terms of what they do with airfield lighting specifically. Let's scroll down a little so that, and as I mentioned, in terms of the grant applications, once we get the actual applications back, come back to the board for the approval. But again, to keep things moving, we're looking to award the base bid and add alternate number 1 to Bruce Amaryllis Electric Company of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, for a total contract amount of $1,789,325, again contingent upon receipt of that pending FAA grant funding.
You'd entertain a motion for award of the bid of the XLL runway project? Motion by Mike, second by Glenn. Discussion.
No discussion, but I have to abstain from the vote.
Okay.
Bruce Amaryllis is signatory with me.
I also abstain, same reason.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And we have 2 abstentions. Okay, motion passes. Ryan, thank you.
Thank you.
Justin, anything else?
Nothing else under business. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is to the executive committee and approval of the hotel development term sheet. So Darren?
I think we can go with that for now. All right, thanks, John. So we discussed this in a lot of detail at the committee meetings. Actually had a lot of our development partners in the room to answer some questions as well.
Yeah, I'd make the same comment to those listening online. If you'd like to hear that more detailed conversation, go back to the committee meeting YouTube video.
And also shared a lot of this information ahead of time, on the structure and, who those partners were. So just walking through, we're basically looking to approve the term sheet. And basically what that does, it obligates the authority to reimburse up to $200,000 in pre-development expenses should the authority sometime between now and the time we would sign a ground lease decide not to go forward with this, this is giving the developer the ability to now start moving forward with design and permitting and everything. They've got to start spending money, so they need some protection if we were to decide at a later date that we did not want to move forward with this project. Also in that term sheet, it does outline all the relevant terms that will be in the ground lease. So while they're not necessarily binding, we do want buy-in from this body as we're working towards that ground lease. So so we're negotiating in good faith with the developer. Some of those pertinent terms, it is a 40-year lease with up to 1 9-year extension. It will terminate when the bonds are fully retired. They expect that to be at around year 40, depending upon performance of the hotel. It could be a little earlier, a little later. After year 12, we could elect to terminate the ground lease early with a 1-year written notice. We would have to it would be full repayment of the bond. So in all honesty, it's unlikely we would do that anytime super early, but maybe as you get into the later part of the lease, there may be a time that the hotel's performing where you would want to do that at that point in time. Ground rent is set in the term sheet for the first 10 years. It's a little higher in the first 2 years just to help us recoup any out-of-pocket expenses we have. So that's why you kind of see, if you look at that schedule, it looks a little funny that in year 3 rent gets less as opposed to going up, but that's just because we're getting some of those initial monies back quicker. Each 10 years, we'll reset that value through an appraisal process. That's all outlined in the term sheet. It's a little complicated, but I think to keep FAA happy and meet our grant obligations, we needed to make that process work for everybody. Rent starts when the hotel opens for operations. As we negotiate the ground lease and development agreement, we will put a cap to that so that if it doesn't open in a reasonable amount of time, they will start paying us rent, so they can't extend this period out forever. And the last thing is on the hotel privilege fee. This is something we'll be back to the board with more than likely next month. We're planning to be back with that. And that will establish a hotel privilege fee for any operator of hotels on airport property. So if this hotel is super successful and we decide to build a second one, that developer would also be bound by this as well. Initial $3 fee increases by 75 cents minimum every 5 years and adjusted CPI at 10-year intervals.
I'll jump ahead and get into the questions.
Sure.
Are we required to approve that structure for any hotel operator? Or does that structure only apply to this hotel and we would have flexibility in regard?
No, this would be basically by resolution that any hotel operator, when we bring this back to the board, it's going to be written as any operator of a hotel on airport property will be subject to a $3.
So if we build a second hotel, because the first one's wildly successful, we can't increase the fee?
We would not increase the fee, no. We'd have to increase it for both. I mean, we really can't, as a body that takes federal grants as part of our grant insurances, I can't treat you better than this person. That's what this comes down to.
And that way percentages would work.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I will tell you this, if we were doing percentage on this today, we would not be getting $3 a night. I can almost guarantee it.
Right.
But when we are at $375 after 5 years and decide to build a new hotel, then is that the rate?
Yeah, it would be the going rate. It wouldn't be the $3. It would be the $375 or whatever the rate was at that time. So you look at this, it's going up 5% annually, basically, if you look at it the way, which I would assume is going to outpace CPI. I certainly hope it's going to outpace CPI. But, I still think it's the way we wrote it works well for us. I think that's generally all of it. Like I said, certainly happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Yes, something, maybe we didn't discuss this before, maybe it's in there. For snow plowing, like in landscaping, who's responsible for that? Since it's
The
a lease?
hotel operator, because it's just a ground. That would be on the operator of the
It's
hotel.
on the operator, his footprint for snow
Yep.
plowing, also maintenance.
Yep.
Or landscaping also.
But they could buy it from us.
I mean, they probably could. I don't know that we would probably want to, just from resource-wise. I think Steve and his guys would have a heart attack if I started selling their services to others.
What the heck?
What about first responders? Like,
Well, I mean, that
we
would
have
be
to do
typical
that-
like anything else. I think ours are our folks that would respond, but
Being that it's on airport property,
Do we have the staff for that now?
no.
Is the money that we will recoup from this enough to pay for that staffing?
For any additional staffing, at this point, I don't see a need for additional staffing based on conversations that we've had internally. We have staffing here for those types of responses already.
So under our first responder with our firefighters and our police, we have enough current staffing to also take care of this hotel when it's done? Okay.
I had a question. I didn't think of this last Thursday. Who's responsible for any ongoing upgrades that need to be done to maintain the courtyard?
It's
and area
also the
flag?
operator now that it's all set up with reserve buckets and everything in there for that.
I thought so, but
Yeah, the way the structure is set, it's all the reserves are in there for the hotel to do the upgrades that's necessary to maintain the flag.
that's
And then-
always a moving target.
Yeah, and in their lease, they have to maintain that flag or they lose their lease, so.
Yes,
Okay,
the
so it's
brand makes sure.
Yeah. So it's in there, it will be a
It will be
Marriott
in their
Courtyard.
lease that says they have to keep Marriott Courtyard or comparable
Marriott
brand,
Courtyard,
you know,
okay.
won't necessarily have to be Marriott Courtyard, but something comparable. you know,
Okay.
So.
I'd like to go back.
That select service hotel is how they categorize the Marriott brand, that Courtyard brand, I think is what it's called, so.
Okay, Justin?
I'd like to go back to my question. I'm not fully convinced yet. When you go to FTEs and all of that, none of the staffing that our current needs are here have to do with firefighters or police officers?
Yeah, those
part of that
include, those
number.
include firefighters.
So we have open positions today?
Firefighters?
I'm asking, I don't know. It's like you always put up these numbers with the FTEs, full-time equivalents, but you don't break it down like this many for maintenance, this many for administration. So like in that, are any of those open positions for our first responders?
I don't think so. I have to double check. I don't think there was any on fire. There might have
So you
been.
think under our first responders, we're fully staffed today? Okay.
Can you come up with a breakdown?
Yeah, I can give you a breakdown. I can certainly give you a breakdown.
Well, to Justin's point, we're gonna lock in 10 years. You know, third year, it's 120,000. If we have to bring somebody on, firefighter or police for that area, right? We only have 120 that we're getting back in rent.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, we've had the discussion, nobody believes we're gonna have to add additional resources just for the hotel.
We won't.
We will not.
10 years is a long time.
Sure is.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I think I missed an answer. It's Bob Brooks up on the screen. The question was asked if we have enough staffing to handle this new structure. What was the answer to that?
Yes.
You think, your opinion is right now that we have enough staffing on hand to handle a structure that size?
Well, again, going back to, even our responsibilities for the airport, much of what we do, Mr. Brooks, is also predicated on a lot of mutual aid support, which we would also receive for this property. Ambulance or EMS response would not be us. So any of those additional services would be provided by mutual aid as they are today.
Okay, I would have to say to you, I think you should rethink that, because mutual aid is almost a thing of the past. If you look at the numbers and just how many years ago there was 336,000 volunteers, we're down to 30,000, and that's not a crack at the volunteers. I used to be one. But the fact of the matter is they're disappearing at a rapid rate. And if we're going to start relying on people that don't exist when we need to provide a service, I think it's something we should really entertain looking at rather than throwing the answer of yes out right now, because I don't think we have enough staffing now, and I don't really think we have enough staffing if we had another structure that size to handle. And that's not just fire. That's police, EMS, fire, just all around. I don't believe we have the staff. Thank you.
Tom, for our aid, is it city and then townships? Like, or how does that happen? Because I know we're close to Lehigh County, obviously.
Yes, and City of Bethlehem is across the street with their response equipment for fire.
So it kind of goes out to the city and also to
And
volunteers.
Lico, you do have the volunteer departments as well in that
City of
mix.
Bethlehem is a paid force, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob, does that give you a little bit more comfort in terms of the first mutual aid responding force would be a paid force?
Absolutely not, because I know my fire chief here in Bethlehem, which is where I'm working today, and he's not big on mutual aid, to be honest with you. And our response times used to be, when we came to the airport, we sent a ladder, an engine, and a squad truck with a chief officer. Now we send an engine with 2 guys on it. That's all we send anymore. Why? I don't know. I don't know where that went awry. I don't make those decisions, but I can tell you the responses even from us has changed from where it was just 10 years ago. Now we're talking about another 10 years out. Are we still coming? Is the city of Bethlehem still willing to do that as a mutual aid for free? Are the volunteers still going to be here? Is Allentown still going to keep coming? You know, I think it's wrong of us. It's irresponsible of us to build more stuff on our property thinking other people are gonna continue to cover us for free. I think that's a problem, and it's something that we have to address.
Okay, we got ahead of ourselves a little bit, because normally we do the motion second and then open for discussion. So put the topic on the table, I'd entertain a motion to approve the hotel lease.
So moved.
Motion by Mike, second by Glenn. Okay, we can continue discussion at this point.
I'd
Other
like to
questions,
ask
other
about
comments?
first, no, I'm just kidding.
I apologize for getting ahead.
No, I think that was me, Bobby.
First one, I think it was Justin was the first one, actually. So no worries. So, okay, additional discussion points. So that sounds like a topic, not just in regard to the hotel, but in terms of all the buildings we have.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, good topic. It's one that remains on my mind, given what happened up in New Tripoli with the fire company about 6 months ago, so.
Four-story hotel?
I believe it'll be maximum 4-story where it's located, 125 rooms.
All right, so,
3-story?
I don't know firefighting, but 4 stories, and we can handle that with the equipment here? 4 stories?
We don't have a ladder truck.
Okay. So we don't have a ladder truck, we're building 4 stories.
Don't we have
Yeah,
the same
we're
risk,
gonna
Paul, with the building that we're in?
Pardon?
Don't we have the same risk with the building that we're in?
This one?
Yeah.
Well,
There's a floor above us, which is gonna be about as tall as a 4-story hotel.
Sounds like we need a little more equipment here then.
It's something to consider. I think it's something we have to take a look at.
Yeah, I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 stories and. All right.
Yeah, I'm not at the conclusion point of that, but I'm at the discussion point of that.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that part, so.
Yep, agreed. Okay, other questions, other comments?
The question is, what part are we approving here again? Is it the 200,000 that we owe if we back out, or are we approving all terms?
You're not, the only thing that is binding in the terms is the 200,000. However, what we put the terms out there for everybody to look at, if there are terms in there that we're not comfortable with, we need to know that as we're going to negotiate, because we come back here in 3 months or 4 months with a lease that basically has the same terms as the term sheet.
Yeah.
You know, we're expecting to have, that we've had buy-in at that point in time, and, you know, that's where, if we walked away at that point in time, so we couldn't get a lease, we are probably liable to provide the developer reimbursement for the money they spent at that point, which could be significant.
All right, so I'm uncomfortable from year 3 through 10, that we're 120,000 up to 155. If we need some type of equipment here for 4 stories, right, that's not adequate, because I'm assuming that's market value for land. That's what we're looking at here.
That and the hotel privilege gives you the market value.
Well, hotel privilege wasn't guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed, but based on very conservative estimates, we will hit above market value based on an appraisal that we had done.
I'm not comfortable at 10 years out getting 100 and whatever that is, knowing that we may not have the equipment adequate to handle 4 stories and potentially the first responders, that staff. So so if you want to know my opinion, I'm not comfortable with it.
Understood.
What was the aggregate cash flow, including the hotel privilege tax?
I think 1.8.
Well, I think the rent over the first 10 years is 1.8 total, and then the hotel privilege tax, to go back and look in the, I don't know the number off the top of my head, John, I'd have to go back and look at it for sure. Like I said, we had an appraisal done, we looked at that with the hotel privilege fee based on, I think we went down as low as 70% occupancies. But hotel privilege fee gives us above what the market value is by appraisal, but I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Justin, you asked for the term sheet to go back up. I assume you had a question?
No, I just thought if we were discussing it, it should be up there for everybody to see.
Other discussion points?
Yeah, I just have a question back to this hotel privilege fee. So why do we have to lock it in for such an extended period of time right now today?
I think, honestly, working with the hotelier or the developer, they're projecting out 40 years. That's how they're doing their financing. They need some level of certainty that we're not going to come back to them 10 years from now and say the hotel privilege fee is now $10 a night, because at that point in time, they're going to have to take less to rent those rooms. They're not going to be able to rent them and put that fee on top of it. A $3 fee, they can still get, a good daily rate, and probably no one's going to blink. But if we have sort of unfettered ability to just change that whenever, I don't see them agreeing to go to these terms at that point in time.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ann. And any other questions from those on the on Zoom?
So I made fun of Todd for bringing the bag with him today, and now, of course, course, he's bailing me out here, so that's good. So basically, you go to $230,000 year 3 with the hotel privilege fee, up as high as $285 at the end of the term. Appraisal came in at about, I believe, $185,000 is where we were right now for this, with increases at 10-year periods. So,
Okay.
as I said, so it does come in above everything. Every year is above what the appraised value was.
Yep.
And those were based on, like I said, I believe it was about 70% occupancy. We based those projections, which we all pretty confident will far exceed 70%.
What's the Lehigh Valley average right now?
Right now, I want to say that we're 85 or so is what we're averaging at this point in time. So, yeah, and I feel, when you think of the hotels that are part of that calculation, I think a hotel of this quality in this location will do much better than that. So.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Tom, you're comfortable that we are on good ground in terms of fire and EMS and police response, building this building? You're comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. That, I think, a good idea to, and I agree with you, but I think a good idea is we've got to have those conversations, those continued conversations.
Absolutely.
To make sure that everything remains.
It's an annual look.
Yeah. Absolutely. We've got to make sure that we've got the coverage because it really is for all our buildings. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of the subject motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay, we're going to do show of hands because I'm not sure where that's going to land. Okay, so all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, we've got Mike, Larry, Glenn, Frank. Actually, I don't vote unless I break a tie. Those on the phone. Let's see, Jeff Matzkin,
Yes.
Ron Heckman,
Yes.
Chris Worley,
Yes.
Bob Brooks,
No.
Ann Baum.
Yes.
Okay, Ann did have her hand up there. She knew. And did Ron vote yes or no?
Yes.
Ron voted yes. Okay, then those voting no, we've got Bob on the squawk box, we've got Paul, we've got Justin, we've got Jonathan, and we've got Jim. Okay, what are the final tallies?
Eight to five.
8-5 in favor of the ayes? Okay, the ayes have it. Good discussion. We've got issues we've got to make sure that we cover them. So I want to thank everybody for their contributions in that conversation. We've got Tom in charge of the Airport Authority's Exec Director. So Tom, let's do this because it is an important topic. If you could follow up on those conversations, any points that you think are meaningful, and let's bring them back to give you time to have those conversations because it does take time to track people down. Let's have that we're going to have a meeting in June. We're not going to have a meeting in July. We're going to meet in August. So June, if you can pull it off, if not August, to report back.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see. Then director's report, Tom.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, Todd mentioned traffic being down this month. That's pretty indicative of what we'll experience here through August. We're going to be in a period now where, nationally, small and non-hub airports really had an earlier recovery during COVID. That's what we saw in some of the trends here. You're starting to see the larger and medium-sized hub airports catch up now as some of that broad-based recovery now takes place in other airports. So carriers, particularly for the summer, are still facing limited resources between crews and aircraft. That's continuing to be a challenge. We've talked a little bit about Allegiant and some of the things that they're going through with their aircraft fleet and pilot training. But again, we're also coming off of a summer where there was a lot of challenges for the airlines in particular. And certainly the DOT is looking hard at airline schedules and making sure airlines can meet those schedules and fly those routes. So because of that, I know there's been a lot of capacity pullback throughout the system, and that's part of what we're seeing to make sure they can weather the summer travel. So again, looking like we're seeing that uptick in seats back in September as we get through the summer. So,
Every time I turn around, air travel's more expensive.
Again,
When does that?
when does that ever
when-
change?
Yeah, no, it's never gonna change, but at what point do you think it might start impacting travel?
Sure. Well, we haven't seen the slowdown other than just less seats in the market. The demand is still very high to the point that the carriers are disappointed they had to pull back capacity because they won't have the capacity for all the demand that's still there. So is that point, are those lines still coming where they're going to cross? Perhaps. I'm not sure how far out that might be.
And no indications yet?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Not that it's
And
slowing
there's
down.
still so much pent-up demand for travel, that I don't think it's, you got a couple of years to work that out.
Yes. So it's also interesting when we always look at Todd's graphics to see our seats are down more than our throughput, right? So the planes are getting fuller.
Yeah.
Is what we're also going to
And I
see.
put my banker hat on and I see consumer debt at $17 trillion, and when do people start slowing down the money they're spending?
No.
But
Not yet.
not yet.
So that's really the story on passenger traffic. On cargo traffic, it's sort of the two different sides of the coin here. It was our best April air cargo on record. So our cargo traffic was up 53%. And so it was really 23 million pounds of cargo moving through the facility. Again, discussing options for cargo growth as we continue to be really hemmed in with the area that we're working within for the cargo development. Since our last meeting on the 25th of April, we had April 27th, Take Your Child to Work Day. We had 22 K through 12 students that made it all through the facility, different departments. It was really popular, and everybody who was hosting that seemed really tired at the end of the day, so it must have been a lot of energy keeping up with everybody, but I think it was really enjoyed by the students. April 28th, Easton Area Public Library was here. They visited during National Library Week. May 3rd, we hosted students in the Protective Services program that were here from North Montco Technical Career Center down in Montgomery County. They spent time with our police and fire departments going through a number of different things and had a great time here. May 8th, we had our Fear of Flying seminar, full house. We had all 12 seats filled. The next one will be in September, so if people are interested in getting the word out to friends or family about the next session, we'll have more information for the board on that. May 9th, we had LNAA Radio here, and they had a career fair, and the terminal area was packed, so we had a very well-attended career fair hosted by LNAA Radio. May 10th, we participated in the Military Shares PAX program, and we were able to pack 880 boxes of food that will go to veterans, their families, and again, reservists, and really a lot of the staff, a lot of frontline staff there to help pull those together, so it's great to see. May 18th, we joined the Special Olympics of Pennsylvania to announce and FedEx to announce a plane pull on October 7th. So the Special Olympics is hosting that event with FedEx. A lot more information available online at lvplanepull.org. In terms of upcoming events, June 2nd, NTSB communications training will be taking place, and that will be off-site. So it's really the first time, and Colin talked a little bit about this during his update, but it's really the first time we've had NTSB instructors here to talk about sort of communications after incidents and walking through that. So it'll be a full day of training with our mutual aid partners and others, not just Airport Authority. June 13th through the 16th, TSA's contractor will be on site to install the new equipment in our checkpoint. So we're looking forward to that coming and equipment being delivered. Again, it's in the area, but in fact, getting it into the space and installed is coming up here. Also that week, June 15th, a busy week, we have the Denver inaugural flight that'll be launching, and we're planning a celebration for that. We'll get more information out to the board as we get those details together. And last but not least, the ever popular TSA pre-check open enrollment session will be taking place here June. I guess it's July 3rd through July 7th. And looks like that's the RV, Colin, is that correct? We're getting the RV from them for that? So we'll have a lot more details on signups on our webpage, more details to follow, but we'll get those out to you. So that really concludes my report, Mr. Chair. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thanks. Open up for questions or comments for Tom.
Let's have one with your airplane pull. So I pulled it all up.
Yeah.
So if 25 individuals go together, it's $2,500, $100 a person at the minimum. But then there's sponsorship levels, and the one is 2,500 at a sponsorship level, but you don't get a team in the.
Okay.
Just thought that was weird.
Yeah, and again.
Like if one organization is paying 2,500
to poll.
they should get their whatever they get, plus they should get a team entry in the pool.
Sure.
Would be my opinion of it. You don't get that to the $5,000 level, which I just
It's an
think
option
is.
for somebody that doesn't want to pull a plane, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing that was their intent, Special Olympics intent, but
Special Olympics is handling the whole.
Oh, they did it all. You guys didn't do it.
We're just.
It's not a huge deal. I just thought it was a lot of. We support a lot of things, and everything when you're doing it at a sponsorship level usually includes participation in the event.
Sure.
Right when you're at a sponsorship level. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah, but I'll reach out to them because again, from a logistical standpoint, they're handling the whole event because it's for them specifically, and then FedEx is just handling the plane pool. We're handling logistically for the airport, but I can ask.
And then does Pennsylvania Special Olympics keep how much percentage of that money, or how much goes to national? You know I'm very local, right?
Yes,
you know I'm a very local person.
I will tell you this, that this is the first one they're hosting Pennsylvania State Special Olympics. So I believe the money's gonna stay because it's for their.
Majority of it's gonna stay within PA.
Stay local because it's for them. This is their first one they're hosting in the state. So
Okay.
they're really excited about it.
Well, a lot of times these national organizations, the parent organizations, they suck a lot of it up.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, I understand, yep, I'll
So
find out.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I'll find
Thank
out.
you.
Yeah.
Good question. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, Tom, thank you. Attorney Marcon, your report?
Thank you, Chairman. Not a lot to report this month. We are going forward with tax appeals. That's for Lehigh County exemptions of school and property tax on parcels that are being used in furtherance of the public purpose or not in any other use at all, no commercial use. So we're going to file those probably in the next week or two, well in advance of the August deadline for that. Landlord-tenant matters, just kind of housekeeping issues on the egregious stormwater tax. The only update there in the Westchester matter, our case continues to be stayed in Lehigh County against the city of Allentown. In the Westchester matter, there's an extended briefing schedule, so the parties there just need to write their arguments to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. So nothing really to report there as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Attorney Marcon? Okay, hearing none. Any new business to bring before the board? Mike?
I don't know if this is new business or not, but I think given the fact that we're coming down the home stretch on the connector, and we had the discussion about the equipment today for being able to be responsible for the buildings on property, I think it might be time to do another one of those deep dive board meetings where we spend a day going over some of the issues that relate to us. And I think it's something that we did one, the last one we did I think was in 2019, because it was shortly after I joined the board, which was in the spring, and I think we did it that fall, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's time to be looking at another one of those things for the long-term plans of the
strategic planning,
the airport, and moving forward on that. So, and I know that's a heavy lift for the staff, so I'm not sure what the timing of that would be. I don't know that it has to be in calendar 2023, but I think it's something that we need to be looking at for some time in 2024, to just have some of those discussions more in depth than we're able to do at our committee and regular board meetings.
Good point. Good point. I assume everyone agrees with that?
Sure.
It's a good idea. Okay. Yep, let's work on that. Okay. Good point. Okay, other items to bring before the board?
It's not really new business, but I took a flight from here to Florida and back, and it was on time both ways. And all my coworkers that left from Philly all got laid over and home late, and they weren't real happy. So thank you.
It's actually funny, Jim. I had the same thing. We went down to Florida a few weeks ago, and most of us flew out of Philly, or out of here, took Allegiant down. One of the people decided to get cheaper and went down to Trenton to fly Spirit, and it was not a pleasant experience for them. So it worked out well. We were on time, on budget. They were not on time and not on budget. So, yep, fly ABE. I think there's a tagline there somewhere.
I think so.
I
think so.
Interviews here?
The staff at the bar was great too.
I'm sorry?
The staff at the bar here was great too.
We actually got breakfast there. They were. Yeah, they do a good job. Larry?
I just want to thank you for recognizing the loss of Vern Moyer. For those that are in aviation, we knew this guy pretty well. For those that join us, he was an icon. But I just want to share one quick story. We here at the Lehigh Valley Airport, we provided hangar space for L-Tri-C flight school. So they would contact us every now and again to bring in speakers. So I invited Vern one night along with a pilot from Continental, Air Products, all successful people. And the moderator asked them to go around the table. And they went to the student said 4 hours. And how many flight hours you have is kind of barometer of your experience in the industry. And then another student, 200 hours, which was quite a bit. And went on down the line, and the pilot for Continental said 2,700 hours. And the guy from Air Products, 1,900 hours. And he came to Vern and goes, Vern Moyer. He didn't say anything. The moderator said, Vern, we couldn't hear you. What'd you say? He said, I'm Vern Moyer, 15,000 miles, or flights, 15,000 hours. Somebody did some quick calculation, found out Vern had been in the air longer than some of these guys have been alive.
He will be missed, Larry. Thank you for sharing that. Very much appreciated. Okay, other new business items? We don't have a need, I believe, for exec session? No. Okay, sounds good. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Glenn, we're good.